3 years ago, I was sitting in my office at 2 a.m., staring blankly at my computer screen with two haunting numbers glaring back at me. An investment in a project that promised a 10x return had just evaporated, leaving me with barely 30% of my original capital. At the exact same time, the money I had blindly poured into rushing a personal business expansion had just drained over $2,500 in a single month, and I had absolutely zero real results to show for it. But what broke me wasn't the money I had lost. What truly broke me was the sheer exhaustion. Up until that moment, I had always believed that to be successful, I had to constantly expand. I had to do more, take bigger risks, and grow as fast as humanly possible. In the days that followed, while desperately trying to piece my financial life back together, I stumbled upon a documentary about the Japanese economy, and it revealed a fact that completely stopped me in my tracks. Japan is home to the highest number of the oldest surviving businesses in the world. We are talking about tea houses, woodworking shops, and hot spring inns that have been operating for over 500 years. But here's the truly fascinating part. The vast majority of these century-old businesses are not massive corporations. They do not have global chains. They are not listed on the stock exchange, and they never tried to become billion-dollar empires. They are small businesses, sometimes hidden away in narrow, quiet alleyways. Yet, they form the unshakable bedrock that has kept the entire Japanese economy standing through crisis after crisis. And right there, in that exact moment, it hit me. I realized I had been running the company called my life completely wrong. In modern Western business and finance, we are obsessed with being massive. We are taught to maximize profits, heavily leverage our finances, and constantly scale up. The narrative is always the same. If you are not moving forward at the speed of light, you are already falling behind. This mindset bleeds deeply into how we spend our personal money. When our income goes up, we immediately buy a bigger house, a nicer car, and rely on credit cards just to project a lifestyle that is far beyond our actual reality. But the philosophy behind these small Japanese businesses is the exact opposite. They choose endurance over explosion. They prioritize the ability to survive a crisis over a few quarters of record-breaking revenue. To them, staying small is never seen as a failure. On the contrary, being small means being agile, secure, and built to last. Of course, the Japanese model is not perfect, and sometimes extreme caution brings its own set of limitations. But in a world where everyone is rushing to get rich quick, the quiet calmness of these small businesses offers us a completely different, grounding perspective on money. I did not abandon my financial goals, and I am certainly not telling you to give up on your dream of financial freedom. I simply stopped forcing myself to become this massive unicorn company, held together by nothing but stress and debt. Instead, I started treating my personal finances exactly like a small Japanese business: solid, independent, and impossible to knock down. In this video, we will decode 3 core survival principles from these enduring businesses. We will explore exactly how you can apply them to stop wasting money, wipe out debt, and build quiet wealth. A few of these lessons are highly practical, but others, they will force you to completely rethink what it actually means to grow. Shinise, survival over speed. In Japanese, the word Shinise refers to businesses that have successfully operated for a century or more. The problem with how most of us handle our personal finances is that we are always trying to skip the hard parts. We buy high-risk stocks because we want to see our money multiply overnight. We take on heavy debt to invest in things we do not even understand, simply because we are terrified that everyone else is getting rich faster than we are. We look at the idea of saving a little bit of money month by month, and we dismiss it as being too slow and too boring. But the secret of a Shinise is not about being boring. It is about prioritizing survival, a concept known as sonzoku, over short-term profit. A Chinese business always holds a massive amount of cash in reserve, specifically to weather economic downturns. Translated to your personal finances, that is your emergency fund. My friend, Sarah, used to laugh at the idea of keeping $10,000 in a low-yield savings account. Instead, she poured everything she had into the crypto market. But when the economy took a hit and she suddenly lost her job, her crypto evaporated. She was left with nothing but a mountain of credit card debt. The power of the Shinise mindset does not mean you are forbidden from investing. It simply reminds you of one brutal truth. You cannot win the money game if you get knocked out of the game too early. Building wealth is not a sprint to see who can make the most right now. It is a marathon to see who can stay on the track the longest. But playing it safe is not enough to actually generate wealth. The next thing these small Japanese businesses taught me was how to make money without burning out. But if you think these principles are just about playing defense and shrinking your life to save a few pennies, what comes next is going to completely reshape the way you think about making money. Because these small Japanese businesses do not survive for centuries by simply hiding from the world. They survive by forging a weapon so sharp and a skill so refined that they become utterly irreplaceable. Shokunin, mastering the core value. The spirit of the Shokunin belongs to the master craftsman. These are the artisans who dedicate their entire lives to perfecting just one single task. Modern society constantly brainwashes us with the idea of extreme diversification. We are told we must have 5 streams of income. We must be a full-time employee, a freelancer, and run a side hustle all at the exact same time. The result? We create an absolute financial mess. We do a million things, but we are not truly exceptional at any of them. Our income across these different streams remains mediocre, and we end up completely exhausted. Japanese businesses with the Shokunin spirit do the exact opposite. A shop might sell only one specific type of cake. A workshop might forge only one specific type of knife. They refuse to expand into other areas simply to protect their absolute quality. Imagine this. Instead of splitting 50 hours a week across 3 side jobs that pay $10 an hour, what if you poured all of that focus into upgrading your core professional skill? What if you became a shokunin in your own field? Your income could leap to $50 or even $100 an hour, with a foundation that is far more stable. This is not about limiting yourself. It is about intentional focus. Money always flows toward the people who solve problems the best, not the people who are just doing the most things. But as your income starts to grow, a brand new trap appears. And that is exactly where we need the third principle. Hara Hachi Bu, the 80% rule. You might have heard of Hara Hachi Bu as a Japanese dietary rule, which means eating until you are only 80% full. But small Japanese businesses apply this exact philosophy directly to risk management and how they scale. Western culture teaches us to max out our leverage. If a bank approves you for a $500,000 mortgage, most people will immediately go out and find a house that costs exactly $500,000. If a credit card gives us a $10,000 limit, we treat that as our default purchasing power. We are constantly pushing our financial boundaries to 100%, sometimes even 120%. And when one tiny unexpected event happens, the entire system collapses. Japanese businesses, however, always leave a void. They might have the capacity to open 5 new branches, but they choose to open only 2. They could borrow heavily to double their production line, but they choose to use their accumulated cash instead. Apply this to yourself. If you make $5,000 a month, do not build a lifestyle that swallows up $4,800. Live as if you only make $4,000. That remaining 20% is not dead money. It is a buffer for your freedom. It is the oxygen you need to breathe when life suddenly becomes suffocating. So, how do all these pieces actually work together? Let us take a step back and look at the new system we have just built. The Shinise mindset reminds you to guard your emergency fund and always think about long term survival. The Shokunin spirit helps you generate a high income through deep, intentional focus rather than scattering your energy. And Hara Hachi Bu protects you from the arrogance of maxing out your debt and spending right up to your absolute limits. On their own, each of these habits might sound humble, but when you put them all together, they create a completely different financial operating system. Starting from the exact same point as everyone else, instead of building a massive sandcastle that is ready to collapse at the very first wave, you are now building a solid fortress made of stone. It might not look as giant or as flashy as your neighbors, but it belongs entirely to you. And most importantly, it will stand the test of time. You might not need to rush back out there, desperately searching for the next get-rich-quick project, or forcing yourself into an even more brutal daily grind. Perhaps what you truly need right now is just to stop, to take a hard look at the company called you, and finally start fixing the hidden leaks. Quiet wealth does not come from showing off how massive your scale is. It comes from knowing exactly how deep your foundation goes. Because at the end of the day, money never truly disappears. It simply flows from the hands of the rushed, straight into the pockets of the patient. If this video helped you see your finances in a completely different light, please subscribe to the channel. And I am genuinely curious about one thing. Out of the principles we talked about today, is it the 80% rule or that spirit of absolute focus that you feel you need to apply the most right now? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.